I'm sorry.
Trying to see if we've lost connection because it says I lost connection on Periscope too.
Is it something I said?
No, no, no. Are we? No, it's probably the redneck Wi-Fi. Uh,
Did we get Mark Zuckerberg angry?
no,
Angry?
no, we're back. Okay, we're back. Never mind. Okay, just want to make sure. Whew. Okay, so you know what? I think it's cool that you bring up replacement theology because uh, well, because I've never been an advocate personally of replacement theology because I read the Bible and it's very clear to me that Israel, the church doesn't replace Israel. That's very clear to me. Um, and I think, unfortunately, how do I say this? Just like in the Catholic Church, people often rely on the Pope to tell them what the Bible says. I think when people don't read the Bible for themselves, they are misled by people who tell them what's in the Bible. I'll give you an example. I was in a water aerobics class a couple of years ago with a devout atheist instructor. She was not happy that I was there. In fact, I guess her dad was a minister or something. I don't know, but she ended up being an atheist. And one day we were in there jumping around, doing our stuff. And actually, she says to me, I just want you to know that the Bible says blah, 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 blah. And I'm like going, where is it? And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, have you ever read the Bible? She's like, nope, never opened it. And I'm like, well, then how can you tell me, who I've read it almost every day, like for 30 years, like what's in it? You don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, really? Because I have it on my phone. You want to look at it? I mean, it's just...
Hmm.
so when you bring that up, there are people. Let's just, I mean, just like in the Old Testament, there was the false prophets there that prophesied all these false things, and God, one of my favorite stories is the one of Elijah on Mount Carmel. I love that story because God has a total sense of humor, and it really not Christ you, but
Go with it. Go with it. Go
God,
with
you know what I'm
it.
saying? You know what I mean? So
I'm there. Go with it.
anyway, but so you know what I mean. So this is like a pagan, worshiper versus the one true God, and not only did God do gazillions of miracles in that story, but if you don't know the story, then you're like, what the heck, and so
Right.
people miss it if they don't read it for themselves. That's my point.
That's
I don't know
yeah,
if
and
I
it's
made a
all of
point.
the details, and people miss the details, and they think, like you ask a person how many animals were on the ark, and they'll say, "Oh, two by two," and you're like, "Actually, no,
No.
that's actually not exactly correct." And they think they know it, and it's funny, ask people to list the Ten Commandments. They usually end up with five or six, and that's pretty much how they live their lives. you
And
know?
they forget the first one. The very
Uh,
first one, if you just did the
yeah,
first one, then we'd be all good, right? I mean, most of us don't
yeah,
even do that one, so,
yeah, yeah.
right? I mean,
That is true.
yeah. It's
That
hard
is
to
true.
be obedient.
Yeah, it's funny. There's a story about someone who once went up to a rabbi and he was yelling at him. He's like, "You guys, you believe in a God," and he says this and this and this, and I don't believe in him. And he says, "I don't believe in that God either." and
Hmm.
but the God you do believe in is someone you've had a process with and you've gotten to know better. You've read his book and you've lived his life and and it's a process. And when we get to the end, we have a better idea of who he is, and we have a better idea of who we are and what he wanted from us. But it doesn't come all at once, and it doesn't come without effort. That's for sure.
Right. So getting back then to the issue of Jews and Christians connecting, right? Because what I've learned recently, and honestly, it was just recently. Let's see. I got this book here. It's called "Thy Brother's Blood: The Roots of Christian Anti-Semitism." I don't know if you've ever
Hmm.
seen this, but I was
I've never
listening.
seen that.
I was listening to this messianic rabbi that told me I was Jewish before I knew I was 1% Jewish, and he was doing a series of sermons on, basically on anti-Semitism and trying to explain to people, how the Christians, became so, well, what the Christians did, okay, to the Jews. And the thing is Christians like me didn't know that history. In fact, when I went to Israel, I went to the Holocaust Museum when I was there, and I didn't understand. When I went there, what I was thinking was Hitler and all the horrible things that he did and everything. But I remember the tour guide telling me, she said, first of all, going through the Holocaust Museum was, it was probably the most, and I'm not going to say the word impactful, but it really was impactful. And they said to me that they designed it to make you feel like you were walking down through the chamber. And there was a whole section in there about how Christians had harmed Jews or hurt, persecuted Jews. And I was just going, what the heck is all this about? Because I never knew it. And I think a lot of people don't know it. And so the reason why this is significant, me and you, is because there has been, I think there's been public apology, from Christian leaders all over the world. I don't know all over the world, but I know Michelle Bachmann recently was there in Israel and apologized on behalf of her.
That was what she did. Oh my gosh.
I know. And it's weird. Okay, yeah, talk about, were you there when that happened, or did you just watch it?
No, but I saw, I was working, but I saw the video.
Mm-hmm. I did too.
And when they sent me the title of the video, I'm like, there's got to be a misprint, I like Michelle Bachmann, but she said some very difficult things. But for a person of that stature to perform such a deep faith-based act of repentance in public, I don't think secular people got half of what she was doing.
Nope.
It was an enormously powerful act. It really was.
I thought so. And for what it's worth, I wish she would have ended up our president when she ran. Just so you know, I wanted her to be our president, but
another 2 years, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, no. So speaking of that, I don't mind if you want to get a little political. What do you think of Trump as our president? And compared to Obama, feel free to say whatever you want.
Oh my gosh. Obama was, I just suffered every day more and more. This was a man, they called him a snake, and on a certain level he was, in that he spoke very pretty, he spoke very nice, everything was a lie. And there was this one speech towards the end of his second term where he said, we live in the most peaceful time in history, blah, 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 and the best time in history. And then you go and check the statistics and you realize that under him, school shootings spiked. There was an enormous rise in school shootings, and death around the world, war-related deaths jumped like more than 70%.
Wow.
And he spoke so pretty. Just look at Syria. It's so funny. There's this Syrian rapper, a young man. I forget his name, but he did a rap, and he was talking about Trump, and he was just like, he was talking about Obama, and he's like, you have blood on your hands, because the Syrians are just like, they know that, how can you stand there? You're the president. With all this power comes a lot of responsibility, and if people are being killed, America, if you're France or something, okay, you don't have this ideal behind you that you're there to bring light to the world, which is what Israel and the United States have in common. And America is a light unto the nations, just as Israel is. Mm-hmm. And to shine freedom and liberty and justice. And those aren't just words. You have these people who are being wholesale slaughtered. It's like, you're the American president. Guess what we put you in office to do? And he didn't. Yeah. And Trump, to be honest, when he was being elected, when he was going through the process, I was like, not the greatest personality. Okay. When I was in Manhattan 35 years ago, we knew about Trump, when he first bought Trump Towers. But, like when a man becomes a king, his heart is in God's hands.
Right.
And if you look at the man's, it's so funny. You have these people, they don't give him half a chance before they jump all over him. But his actions, I mean, his words are a little problematic, but his actions are clearly being guided. His actions are clearly guided. He comes into office less than a year. ISIS is gone in less than a year. This is crazy stuff, And they have this speech where Obama's saying, you can't just wave a magic wand and bring jobs around. Well, guess what? You can. Every American president promised to move the embassy to Jerusalem. Why? Because it was clearly the right thing to do. And all of a sudden, you have Trump actually did it, and I think the timing was amazing. Mm-hmm. He waited long enough that all his critics could see. And what was amazing was the UN vote that slammed Trump for declaring Jerusalem was the capital it was like within a week of being a year from when Obama withheld the veto, which allowed the UN to declare Jews in Jerusalem to be illegal. And I was amazed. It only took 1 year. Only took 1 year for all those things to flip over. So I think on a certain level, Trump, as an individual, some of the things he says, but he's being. I think he's really being guided. He's. I think he's more than anything. He's attaching more than anyone else. He's attaching himself to the power, to the light that is there, especially for kings.
Very interesting. I agree. I actually agree. I think I voted for him. My husband didn't. We're still married. It's okay. I mean, I voted for him definitely because I didn't want the alternative for sure. Hillary Clinton is like of the devil in my opinion.
I agree.
I think Obama is too, honestly. I think he's a Muslim, and I think that it was interesting to me to see some of the people that I know in media when Obama was actually originally voted into office. I think that guy's a con artist. I don't even know how he got into office. I do think his birth certificate was forged. I mean, we don't even know who this goon is, okay? Let's just say it that way. But with all that said, even though I didn't like the fact that he was our president for 8 years, I didn't, do a lot of the stuff that people who hate Trump. And Grant, I'm a woman. Right. I mean, I personally think Trump was great. And The Apprentice, you're fired. I mean, whatever. And, I was actually thinking about this the other day. This is going all over the place. But I was thinking the other day how interesting it is that when we had a businessman in office, and that's clearly what Trump is, things are so much better than when we had lawyers in office like under Clinton and Obama. Okay, just saying.
Yeah. Also, you touched on something. I'm not going to go so far as the birth certificate.
Yeah.
But you said Obama was a Muslim, and for some reason, the things that bothered me about that were he had a birth father and an adopted father who were both Muslims. He was educated in a Muslim school system. He's standing in front of America saying his name is Barack Hussein Obama,
right.
but I'm not Muslim. And how dare you say that? And if you say that, you've just disqualified yourself from the conversation. I found that just to be very disrespectful. First of all, don't shut down. Any question can be asked. And if you don't give an answer, it's disrespectful. You're president of the United States. It's valid to ask, what is your religion? It's valid. And to say, I'm Barack Hussein Obama, no connection with Islam, is just too insulting.
Yeah, I mean,
there is a connection, even if he changed his religion at one point.
Right.
He kept the name, and there's clearly a connection. So
yep.
I found it very insulting, the level of lies. It was just disrespectful to the American public.
Well, that's okay, and I'm not bagging on any Muslims, but I will say if you read the Quran...
No.
But what I will say, if you read the Quran and the Hadith and all that stuff, it actually says for them to lie. So it's like,
Right, that's called taqiyya.
Okay.
There are a lot of things in it, and I'm not going to say it is taqiyya.
Right.
but it was incredibly disrespectful. That, if the American public deserves a level of honesty and openness and respect from their president. I remember, oh my gosh, there were photos of him in the Oval Office with his feet up on the furniture.
Yeah.
Do you know what that furniture is? That's our heritage. That's like, the desk is 200 years old, and this is get your feet off the desk. How dare you? It was just so incredibly disrespectful to the American people. It really hurt me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe I'm just very old, but I found that in very insidious and subtle ways, he made America more divided than the America I remember. You could disagree with people, but as you said, he was president. You disagree, but he's president. He got voted in. We'll get through it.
Right.
And all of a sudden with Trump, it's like, oh, not our president. What does that mean? That you're not American? You're not connected to me? I'm American. You're American. We're together in this. We disagree. We're different, but we're together with this. And all of a sudden with Trump, no, we're not together. I think that's a holdover, and I'm hoping we'll come back to. And I think Trump actually, like for example, the whole thing with the football players, the kneeling and all that. Free speech, yes, but something, we're American. Let's respectfully disagree, lovingly disagree, and stay together. And with Obama, that was not the case. It was like, no, I'm black, you're white, get away from me. We cannot come together ever because we're that different.
Right.
And that's un-American.
Exactly. Well, and it is interesting. So, okay, I know that you wrote a couple of books, but I got to take a break here, okay? Because I think cap our show. I want everybody to know, hey, if you just joined us, our guest is actually live from Israel, which is why we are on early, like in the morning, because it's like 6:30ish. That's 7:15, I think now in the evening with Eliyahu. Anyway, so he's in Israel. Believe it or not, this connection is actually, gosh, I don't even 10,000 miles away from each other. I don't know. But anyway, and so he's here. Just say, isn't this cool? Don't you think this guy's cool? Do you guys are going to heart me up here on Periscope, at least? Those of you who are on Facebook, thanks for coming back in. All right. Also, of course, we have to thank Ariel Ministries, which is our Messianic Jewish ministry that supports our show. And actually, this week, we are focusing on, we have the 20% discount. You guys know that. You can use the coupon code Bible News to buy anything. But they are asking us to promote HaMashiach. Did I say that right? Did I say that right? Randall Bareface, did I?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm not Hebrew, really. I mean, I am, but I'm not. I don't know Hebrew. Anyway, HaMashiach. Say it.
HaMashiach.
The way he says it. I have to learn that.
Mashiach. It's a chet at the end.
A cat?
Chet. The letter chet.
Gotcha. Okay, so that book is a workbook. You guys can get it. I hope you do. It's actually pretty good. You should check it out. What was the other thing? Oh, and then there's stuff on, let's see here. Hold on a minute. I have to go over there myself so I can see it. Because I can't see that far without my spectacles, people. Just so you know. Okay, actually, if you go over to BibleNewsRadio.com/resources, which is now loading. Here we are. That's what it is. There is The Life of the Messiah from a Messianic Jewish Perspective by Dr. Arnold Fruchtenbaum, who is controversial in Israel. I get it. And then also his teaching, Eschatology, the Doctrine of Last Days. You guys can get that. Or anything else that's on the website. Okay. Oh, that's what it is. The Present Work of the Messiah. That's a free PDF Bible study. You can download it. You don't even have to give me your email. Just go and click it. You should click it. Eliyahu, you should go and get it. Click it and read it. It's on my website right there. You just download it. You don't even need to give me your opinion on it. You just read it and just think about it. Whatever you want.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so that's free. And then don't forget to follow me on Bullhorn. Get Bullhorn. Because the world is waiting, people. You only know why that's funny if you use the app, okay? Because when you call in, it says, the world is waiting. Your conference is starting right now. Anyway, this is owned by freeconferencecall.com. And I actually do a Bible study on that every morning. Today, I did it in 2 Timothy chapter 4, where Paul was telling Timothy, his little son in the faith, too, that in the last days, evil things are going to happen. People are going to get their ears tickled. But you, remember what I taught you and be an evangelist. That's a concise version. That's what I talked about. Anyway, the whole book of 2 Timothy is on there. You guys can go listen to it if you want. What else? I'm trying to remember. Pillars of the community. Oh, yeah. If you want to donate to our show, and who wouldn't? Oh, wait, no. Actually, yeah, that is. Okay, go become a pillar of our community if you feel like it. You know you want to. Yeah, you do. Okay, anyway, if you like what we do, donate to the show. That's simple. You can do that over on our website, BibleNewsRadio.com/give. But yes, that was the other thing. Identity theft. I know. How was I going to get...
segue.
Hey, identity theft is on the rise, you guys. It is. In fact, I actually was telling you about all these identity theft stories the other day, which is why I joined Legal Shield, which, you know, is a company that actually provides legal insurance, essentially. That's what it is. And ID Shield. For only $9.95 a month, you can get an individual plan, track all your stuff. And if you buy it through our service, you know, our link and stuff, you support our show at the same time. I would highly encourage it. Just so you know. Okay? So you can go to bit.ly/protect me. Yeah, because that's what we want to do is protect you. Actually, we do. Actually, true story. So did we put that on the website yet?
No, not yet. Sorry.
Yet. Okay. So if you just go to bit.ly/all caps protect me and click through there, just say, hey, Stace, I want some info. I'll send it to you. It's free. Okay. You know, there's no obligation. I'm not going to charge you anything for the info, but right there, see that? That's where you should go and get protected. Because you know what? Trust me on this. Did you know that over 53% of identity theft still happens offline? Paper. You got unethical scoundrels who are stealing bank info, Medicare info, Social Security info, preying on the elderly, all this stuff. You guys know that's the whole reason. I remember I told you the whole reason I did this. I take care of my almost 90-year-old dad, and I had to get a lawyer to make sure that what was going on with him is legal because they had him sign papers illegally that he shouldn't have signed. Okay? So, be smart, people. Use the wisdom God gave you. All right? Okay. All right. So, our guest today, coming all the way from... Are you in Gaza? I forgot.
Cool.
No, I'm
The
the
Golan.
other end. I'm up north in the Golan.
You're in the Golan Heights. Yes, you are.
Right, I'm right near Syria.
And your name is Eliyahu Berkowitz. Yeah, it is.
I'm trying to get in the middle. There we go. I'm in the middle.
Anyway, you also... Okay, so you write for BreakingIsraelNews.com. And also, you're Orthodox Jew. You haven't yet received Messiah, Yeshua, anyway, but you know about him, so that's good. You're on a good path here. God has you writing about Bible times, end times Bible prophecy, which I think is funny, and you do too.
I heard he lived. I heard he used to live down the road from me. So.
Well, isn't the big argument, right? Is did he come first or second? Has he come back, or either way, we'll both. It'll be interesting, won't it? Anyway, you've also written other books, right? You're a novelist. You told me you wrote a book called The Hope Merchant and Dolphins on the Moon. You want to talk about your books? Tell us what your books are about, where they can get them if they want.
Sure. Wow. You can go to my website, which is AdamEliyahuBerkowitz.com. It's a long URL. Adam, A-D-A-M-E-L. Adam, A-D-A. That was my English name. I changed it when I moved to Israel. Huh. So it's A-D-A-M-L-I-Y-A-H-U Berkowitz.
So can I interrupt you here just for a second? So were you born in America?
Sure. I was born in Philadelphia, grew up in New Jersey, and I spent 10 years in Manhattan working in classical French kitchens.
Gotcha.
In restaurants. And I was absolutely not religious. I rode motorcycles. I had long curly hair and a mustache. And Used to hang out in biker bars in the East Village,
I see
and
it.
then got totally burned out. So when I was 30 years old, I was so burned out from cooking. I'd been working 80, 90 hours a week for 10 years.
That's
I
a hard
went,
job.
the Grateful Dead were on summer tour. So I went on summer tour with the Dead and let my brain take a bit of a vacation. And at the end, I was sure that I needed to change. So I wanted a long vacation. I came to Israel. They have what's called an Ulpan, which is half a day learning, half a day work. And I thought I was going to go to a non-religious kibbutz where all these young, cute European girls hung out. And by a total misunderstanding, I ended up on a religious kibbutz, which was pretty much the opposite in the Beit Shan Valley, which is enormously hot, and really fell in love with the place. I realized that, living the good life was not so good for me. The great motorcycle, the great job, the great this, the great that was not very good. So and the connection with the land and the cows. I was milking cows for 5 years, and just yeah. I mean, cows will do it.
Well,
And
I asked this because I know a lot of Jewish people. When we were there, we were talking. We talked to some mayor or something of some thingy, and we went into their house, and they were talking about how they just felt this burden to go to Israel, and they didn't understand why. So that's what I was trying to find out, is if all of a sudden you just were just like, I have to go back to Israel, or if that was
I
one of
was there
those.
when I was 17. So whenever things got really bad in America, I always dreamed about Israel because, I mean, the question is, what are you living for?
Hmm.
If you're living just for, so you can get a better car, better this, better that, it always left me feeling very empty. You get it, and then they say, oh, no, it's because you need this, and it really, everything left me really very empty. And the question is, and Jordan Peterson talks about this, where happiness in life doesn't come from the things you have or anything like that. It comes from responsibility, what you feel that you're fulfilling in the world. And I mean, I've come to Israel, and it's like, my goodness, the prophecy's happening every day. It really is. I mean, I report on it. Crazy things are happening. And when you can take part in that and you say, what have I done? I have moved this forward one more notch. Then that's a lot more than, it really is, a lot more than anything else I ever had. There's no question. I guess I just put everything into it and was left empty.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. My husband's trying to let the dog into the room because he was barking. We shut him out.
Oh no.
Behold, if you stand at the door and bark, we will let you in. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, sorry.
Dog knows.
Okay,
Dog
so
knows.
anyway, okay, so here's the thing. Let me
So yeah, I'm American. I moved here in 1991
okay, so
when I was 30 years old.
okay. I want to hear about your books, but now I have to ask you a question about, you said Bible prophecy is being, fulfilled every day. I have a question about this, about the temple, the temple. What's your thoughts about that? Because, I've been reading, I know isn't there the Temple Institute out there, and there's people who are always talking about the breeding of the red heifer and then all this other stuff that has to take place. What's the latest on all that? Can you tell me anything like having to do with that? Because I think that stuff is kind of cool.
It's unbelievably cool. That's another thing. Before I started writing for Breaking Israel News, I was not into it. It had no interest for me. It was far away from me. And when I started reporting on it, I started seeing, wow, things are moving. Things are really happening. The Temple Institute, God bless him, Rabbi Richmond, is the people who bring the temple. I just don't know where they get the strength to do what they do. Rabbi Richmond, it was like 20 years ago, people were like, temple? No, we don't. when we get to those parts of the Bible, we skip right over it. And those parts of the Bible is like, that's like 30% of it. And if you take out the temple and the land of Israel, then you're left with like, 3 chapters. And it's nothing. But these people, Rabbi Richman, I once asked Rabbi Richman, I said, if the Israeli government said that we could do the temple right now, start running, when could we start doing the sacrifices? And I asked a couple people that. I said 6 hours, all of them. We are 6 hours away from having the third temple.
Wow.
Yes. They have all the instruments, all the utensils, all the clothing for the Kohanim, for the priests. They have for every holiday, they have reenactments. And I've started going to them. And the reenactments are like crazy, because you go there and you see the priests in their clothing wearing like, shoes because they're outside, which are like modern shoes, and it's whatever. And they have all these practice utensils that they use just to practice. They actually bake the showbreads. For Passover, they actually slaughtered a lamb. They did the Passover sacrifice, and they roasted it, and they were giving out pieces for people to eat. These are crazy things, and they're happening, and we're that close. We are really that close. And Jesus loved the temple. Jesus hung out at the temple a lot. What amazes me is that Christians go to the Temple Mount. You know that Jews are not allowed to pray on the Temple Mount. You know that, right? Muslims can pray on the Temple Mount. Jews are not allowed to pray on the Temple Mount. Christians are not allowed to pray on the Temple Mount. This is pushing away the house of prayer for all nations. If you see how many Jews have been going up to the Temple Mount, there's been an enormous rise. This year on Jerusalem Day, over 2,000, almost 2,100 Jews went up to the Temple Mount. It's unprecedented, and that's with the police trying to keep it back. And when you get that many Jews going up to the Temple Mount, I saw men praying up there, even though against the law, because you can't stop it. When so many people have that much passion for something to happen, it's going to happen. So we're that close to the temple. I couldn't believe it. There's this guy, amazing. I write this story. It amazes me. There's a guy named Reuven Prager. Reuven Prager he's a tailor who lives in Jerusalem. He's literally a tailor. He's an American guy. He goes around and gives lectures in America. Reuven Prager, God bless him, he's a tailor. He makes what he calls biblical clothing, which if you look at it, it's biblically styled. He also has the blue threads in the fringes and the tzitzit. He does amazing stuff. About 20 years ago, a little more than 20 years ago, Reuven had this great idea. He said, every year I read in the Bible about the silver half shekel. And it's a mitzvah. It's a commandment. Every Jew once a year has to bring a silver half shekel to the temple. And that silver half shekel is used to buy all the sacrifices and things for the temple. The temple is a not-for-profit organization. It's an NGO. They have to raise money. Reuven Prager started doing this. He has over 250,000 coins of pure silver saved up because they're sanctified. You can't touch them. You can't use them. He has a safe at Brinks with 250,000 of these coins. I paid $25 for it. So you do the math. And this is all ready to go at this moment for the temple. We're that close. And there are more and more people who are pushing that. But so much of it has to be done in secret. So much of it is also even from the Israeli government. They have to hold back the flood of people. because if not, the Arabs are going to go crazy. They don't want the Jewish Messiah. They don't want the Christian Messiah. They don't want Jews praying on the Temple Mount. They don't want Christians praying on the Temple Mount. And that's what's going to stop the Messiah. If we can't come together in prayer, why would the Messiah come? We're that close to having a house of prayer for all nations. We really are. It's one of the more astounding things.
Yeah, and you're not going to hear that in most churches. You won't. I mean,
why not? Why not?
Well, because I don't think a lot of pastors know it. I mean, you might hear it in synagogues, but you're not going to hear it. I mean, I know very few people that actually know what you just said.
You don't hear it in synagogues either.
Yeah. So, isn't it
weird? Especially not in America. Yeah. You don't hear it in synagogue.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear it.
2 Timothy 4.
Because, really? Why? What does Timothy 4 say?
Well, 2 Timothy 4, and this is what I was talking about this morning. Paul, Saul, actually he had two names, as you know. But, he basically was charging Timothy that in the last days, people they will want their ears tickled. And that's what they will pursue. They'll forget the law. They don't want to hear the gospel, basically. And he was charging him to go ahead and remember where he learned his stuff from and to not get sucked into that, basically, and to be an evangelist.
Well, you know what the amazing thing about that is? not that it'll happen. The amazing thing is that people will want it. Mm-hmm. Because we're in an age where so many people are saying, "Oh, no, don't talk to me about that. Don't talk to me about that." We have similar prophecies in the Talmud. Right. But the thing is that, you walk around, people, they don't want to hear it. Even it disturbs me. American Jews, there's so many of them that don't want to hear about Israel. They don't want to hear about what's happening here. And there's so many more Christians who are. And that's why one of the reasons I'm on the show is I really feel much closer to a lot of pro-Israel Christians than unfortunately, and it really pains me to say, it sincerely pains me to say this. I see my own brothers, my Jews, turning their back on Israel, and Israel is such an essential part of the Torah that it's like, what are you doing? And they frame it in politics, and they're like, oh, well, it's Trump, and I'm like, so what? It's Torah, it's God. It's like, take the good, at least take the good with the bad. And people are so ready to turn their back on it that the fact that you say, well, one day people are actually going to be running to hear these things, running to hear Timothy, running to hear the Talmud, running to learn about God. It sounds insane, and it's happening. It's really happening. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Randall just give me the 4-minute warning, just so you know. Yeah, I actually,
wow.
One of the books I recommend, actually it's through Ariel Ministries, is there's a book, Dr. Arnold Fruchtenbaum wrote a book called Israelology, The Missing Link in Systematic Theology. And that's his whole study. How did you know I was going to say that?
I didn't know.
I didn't.
That's so weird. Anyway, yeah, he puts that up really. Anyway, that is his study on the different views of Israel. And most people don't. And it took him, I don't even know how many years to write that, but it's like that.
13 years.
13 years. It's his thesis. But anyway, that's a good book that addresses issues just like that. But let's get to your books at the last. We're at the very end here. This went so fast. Didn't this go fast? You were right. We were able to talk easy.
That does not surprise me.
Okay.
That does not surprise me, especially if you, yeah. We're going to be bumping into each other on the road down the road a bit again, I'm sure. It's a long road and we're on it. So
it's true.
First of all, people want to read my articles. I put out an article every day about whatever I see in the news that's happened, that's prophetic, that I see is bringing us one step closer to Mashiach, Messiah, redemption, Geula. And things are certainly happening. So if you come on the website, there's lots of stuff, crazy stuff, amazing stuff. I write fiction because fiction is a lot closer to than just about anything else I've run into. You can get it on Amazon. It's The Hope Merchant by Adam Eliyahu Berkowitz. It's a lovely story about a miraculous little boy who sometimes is a little boy and sometimes an old man and sometimes a Chinese man, sometimes a black man, and he bumps into people and he shows them magic, and with their new magical eyes, they start to change their lives and become people that want to connect with other people, because isn't that what it's really about?
Mm-hmm.
And yep, I know you know that. Yeah. You're that kind of person.
My motto is the relationship is the cure.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that could have been the other title for The Hope Merchant. That's really, and I think it's so funny. You know, we have an age where we have internet and you know, I look at, you know, kids at the bus stop, you know, typing away with the thumbs, but no one's really connecting. And connecting is what keeps us alive. It really is. You know.
Well, and you and I are in a similar generation. I mean, you're a little bit older than me, not much. I mean, you got more gray hair than I do, but you know, just saying, you probably cook way better than me too, just so you know.
not anymore. Yeah. I lost that, and I'm good with it. Thank God.
But okay, so your other book, Dolphins on the Moon, what was that about?
Dolphins on the Moon is it's a collection of short stories that are all about, I think they're all about personal transformation, and I think that's what it's about, personal transformation. Just to give you a taste, the title story, Dolphins on the Moon, was about how me, in the form of a biker when I was much younger, goes to a bar to meet with a friend of mine. And we're discussing a friend of ours who committed suicide, who jumped off a cliff into the ocean. And how I was very angry because I said, you know, he wasn't trying to end everything. He was trying to jumpstart it. He was trying to change his life. So I went home to my wife and daughter, and this is the story, but a lot of my stories are a little bit too close to reality. And I go out to the beach where I have a campfire and drink some beers like I used to do with my friend before he committed suicide. And then he swims up on the beach. And I go out into the water to meet him in the water. And I said, you know, I understand what you did, because your whole thing was you wanted to fix your life. If you couldn't fix it, you wanted to get rid of it. And he said, well, you're the same way. So why don't you come with me, come out into the water? And I walked out to the water up to my nose, and I turned around and I said, you know, I would go with you because you're totally right, but my wife and kids, and I have to go buy diapers. So that's the kind of story I write. If you're wondering about.
There you go.
So that was that. There you go. That's it.
Dolphins
on the Moon.
Okay. And they can go to AdamEliyahuBerkowitz.com for those, but BreakingIsraelNews.com. And I'll link these in the show description just so you guys know. All right. Well, you stay there. Thank you for being my guest.
If they were meant to read the book, they'll find it. If they were meant to read it, it'll come to them. They'll get it. They'll find it. I'm sure.
We will be back tomorrow, everybody, at our regular time, which is what, 4 o'clock? 4 o'clock Central Time, right here on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. Thank you, guys. I'm going to be sending out an email recapping the show at BibleNewsRadio.com. Don't forget, everybody, as I always end every show, be bold, people. Stand up and go with God, because he loves you. Yeah, he does. I'll see you tomorrow.